Game of Thrones wasn't just a TV show. It was a global obsession, full of power, betrayal, dragons, and death. But not just any deaths. The kind of deaths that made your jaw drop, your heart break, and your favorite character disappear in an instant. These weren't just shocking moments. Some of these deaths completely changed the direction of the story. Shifted power, broke people, and shaped who lived, and who did single quotes today. We're counting down the 10 most important character deaths in Game of Thrones, ranked by just how much they changed the show forever. Let's start at number 10. Number 10. Ser Jorah Mormont Jorah didn't die in betrayal, or on some faraway battlefield. He died doing exactly what he always swore to protect Denner. It was during the Battle of Winterfell. The world was ending, and the dead were rising around them. Jorah stood between Daenerys and death, again and again, until his body simply couldn't anymore. He was loyal to her from the start, even when he was banished. Even when things between them were cold. Jorah never stopped believing in her, and when he died in her arms, it wasn't just a knight falling in battle, was the last true friend. Daenerys had slowly slipping away. His death left her more alone than ever. And that mattered more than people realized. Because without Jorah, Daenerys started to fall into the very darkness he had always tried to protect her from. Number 9. Oberyn Martell. Oberyn Martell came from Dorne like a storm, charming, deadly, confident, and he was on a mission to get justice for his sisters. Brutal death when he faced the Mountain in trial by combat. We really thought he could win. And he did for a moment. But he wanted more than victory. He wanted a confession. He wanted revenge. And while he circled the Mountain, demanding answers, he let his guard down. That's when it happened. In one of the most shocking scenes ever, Oberyn was knocked off his feet and had his skull crushed. Just like that. His death did more than end his story. It destroyed Tyrion's hope of freedom, caused chaos in King's Landing, and pushed the people of Dorne into open rebellion. Oberyn had passion, pride, and a good heart. But in the world of Thrones, sometimes that only gets you so far. Number 8. Khal Drogo was a warrior, a conqueror. And in Season 1, Drogo looked unstoppable. But after a simple wound, some bad magic, and a tragic choice, he fell. The most powerful warlord in the known world died quietly, unable to speak, unable to fight. And Daenerys, the young girl who once belonged to him, made the heartbreaking decision to end his suffering. But this death was much bigger than just losing Drogo. This was the moment Daenerys stopped being a girl and became something else, a queen, or maybe even something more. That night, she walked into a fire and came out alive with baby dragons at her side. Drogo's death ended his chapter, but it was the beginning of the story that changed everything. Number 7. Stannis Baratheon. Stannis was a hard man, cold, rigid, a man driven by what he believed to be destiny. When a red priestess told him that the Lord of Light demanded sacrifice, he gave it, even when that meant burning his own daughter at the stake. The world turned on him after that. His soldiers deserted him. His wife took her own life. His army fell, and when Brienne of Tarth found him wounded on the battlefield, she gave him the mercy he had denied others. With one swing of her sword, it was over. His death didn't just end a claim to the throne. It showed how far one man would go in the name of fate, and how belief without mercy can become something dark and dangerous. Number 6. Tywin Lannister. Tywin was the most powerful man in Westeros for years. Cold, calculating, always 2 steps ahead. He ruled from the shadows, pulling the strings behind every major decision, but in the end, he was killed by his own son, Tyrion, the one he publicly hated, the one he blamed for his wife's death, the one he never truly accepted as a son. Tyrion had just learned the truth that Tywin had allowed the woman he loved to be hurt. Over and over. That his father would never, ever love him. With a stolen crossbow, Tyrion walked into the bathroom where Tywin sat, calm as ever, even with a weapon pointed at his chest. And then he pulled the trigger. Twice, Tywin died on the toilet, once again trying to control the moment. And failing, his death broke the Lannister family. Everything that held them together began falling apart, and the power they held for so long, gone with the pull of a trigger. These deaths didn't just shock us, they shaped the world of Game of Thrones. Some ended legacies, some started new ones, and some opened the door for darker things to come. But the real heartbreak, we're only halfway there. Coming up in part 2, we'll look at the most game-changing deaths of them all. The ones that redefined loyalty, flipped the story on its head, and made millions of fans scream at their TVs in disbelief. Because in Game of Thrones, death isn't the end of the story. It's where the real story begins. Number 5. Jaime and Cersei Lannister. They were twins. They were lovers. They were part of everything from the very beginning. Cersei was cruel, ruthless, and always fighting to protect her children. Jaime started as a villain, but over time, we saw the pain inside him. He grew. He changed. For 8 seasons, they did everything to stay in control. But when Daenerys attacked King's Landing, everything fell apart. As the city burned and the Red Keep crumbled, Jaime found Cersei, underground, trapped with no way out. She was crying, afraid. And for the first time, they were just 2 people, not a king and queen. He held her close. She begged not to die, and together they were crushed by the stones around them. Some fans expected something bigger, more violent. But the truth is, they came into the world together, and they left it together. Their death was the end of House Lannister, and the end of the old way of ruling. Westeros. Number 4. Jon Snow. He was the good guy. Brave, honest, always trying to do the right thing. Jon Snow rose through the ranks and became Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. He wanted peace. He wanted to bring wildlings through the wall to save them from the White Walkers. But not everyone agreed. One night, under the dark sky, at Castle Black, Jon was called outside. He walked out, confused, and then one of the brothers stabbed him. Traitor, they said. Then the next man stabbed him, and another. Blood poured out as he fell to the ground. Fans everywhere were silent. Could Jon really be dead? For a whole year, we didn't know. But he came back, thanks to magic. And although his body was healed, something inside him had changed. He was quieter, more serious. The weight of death was in his eyes. From then on, Jon knew what it truly meant to live and to lead. Number 3. Catelyn Stark. If there was ever one death that broke people, it was this one. Catelyn Stark was a mother, a protector. She fought hard to bring her family back together after Ned died. But at the Red Wedding, everything fell apart. Her son, Robb Stark, the king in the North, thought he was safe at a celebration. They were guests at the Frey Castle. But as the music changed, soldiers pulled out crossbows. Talisa, Robb's pregnant wife, stabbed. Robb shot and stabbed. And Catelyn, she screamed, she begged. And finally, someone walked up and cut her throat. Fans were shocked, silent, tearful. This moment flipped everything on its head. Everything we thought we knew about happy endings was gone. The Red Wedding showed us the real rules of this world, and the Stark family was left broken and scattered. Number 2. Daenerys Targaryen started with nothing, sold to a warlord. No army, no power. But she rose, stronger, smarter. She became the mother of dragons, the breaker of chains. We rooted for her. We believed in her. She said she wanted to build a better world. But after landing in Westeros, something changed. She lost her closest friends. She was alone. When the people didn't love her like she had hoped, she turned to fear. And one day, with King's Landing already defeated, she snapped. She burned the city from the back of a dragon, killing thousands of innocent people below. The scene was quiet. The music was soft. But the damage was loud. Jon Snow knew he had to stop her. In the throne room, with ash falling around them, he kissed her goodbye and stabbed her in the heart. Just like that, Daenerys was gone. Her death marked the end of the dream of someone who could rule better, lead kinder, be different. But in the end, the wheel kept turning. Number 1. Ned Stark, the one. That started it all. Eddard Stark. Ned was the soul of the show. He believed in honor, and he believed the truth would save people. He found out that Joffrey wasn't the rightful king. He tried to do the right thing. He tried to protect his daughters, but he didn't lie. And that was his biggest mistake. Joffrey gave the signal. And in front of everyone, Sansa, Arya, the crowd, Ned was beheaded. Just like that, the main character we had followed from the beginning was gone before the first season even ended. This death changed the entire series. It told fans this isn't a happy fairy tale. The hero doesn't always win. People don't always survive. Sometimes doing the right thing gets you killed. These deaths were more than just episodes. They were turning points. Each one changed the world of Westeros forever. Some were heartbreaking. Some were painful. Some were unfair. But they all meant something. Because in Game of Thrones, people don't just die. They leave behind a ripple that touches everyone. Maybe that's why the show stuck with us for so long. Because behind the dragons, the battles, and the crowns, it was always about the characters who they loved, what they believed, and how their story ended. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the most powerful moments in Game of Thrones, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe for more emotional stories, wild twists, and unforgettable scenes from the greatest shows ever made. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.